Hey, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hope you're having a blessed day wherever in the world you are today. Welcome to Pep Talk, the podcast. We give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us, God, where we take all these interesting and sometimes complex conversations in the health and wellness space, and we make them simple for you to understand. And we give you digestible action steps that you can take to improve your health and the health of your family and your community. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Naputi. I'm excited to take you on this journey today of Pep Talk. We're going to be talking today about peptides. We're going to be doing a big series coming up on different peptides. Many of you have heard of peptides. Many of you are seeing peptides in the news today, and you're aware of them now because, peptides are prevalent because of Ozempic and Wegovy and trizepatide, which all these peptides have a place. But today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite peptides. It's a peptide called SLU-PP-332, which is commonly referred to as exercise in a bottle. Let's first talk a little bit about what peptides are. So first of all, peptides really are nothing more than amino acids that are put together in a little chain. And amino acids come from protein. And I need you to understand that amino acids are the foundational functional building blocks of our body's cellular function, our tissues, and really our RNA and DNA all comes from these different building blocks of amino acids. And amino acids, when they clump together and form a bond referred to as a peptide, it's really nothing more than computer coding for your body. I mean, think about that for a minute. Whenever you're going to program your computer to do something, you have to put code into it. Well, that code then tells the computer to have a response. Well, our body takes protein, digests it, breaks it down, assimilates it into amino acids, which then form into peptides, and that then signals your cells to go to work. The problem is, as we age, and typically once we get over the age of 25, our metabolism starts to decline, but definitely by the age of 30, in some cases, we lose up to 90% of the function of our body's ability to produce these peptides because our body can't break down and digest protein like it's supposed to. That's why our skin looks wrinkly and old. That's why our hair turns gray and falls out. That's why our muscles waste and our cells start to slow down. You see, all of our cells have an oscillating vibration to them. It's movement. And when we're young, those cells are moving and vibrating at a very high speed of oscillation. That's why our body can repair its tissue quickly. But as we age, many of you know this, your cells slow down their ability to heal. And when that happens, our body degenerates quicker. We have a higher susceptibility of chronic illness, and the aging process really escalates. So there's a whole new field of anti-aging that's emerged, and it's the field of longevity. And longevity is, how do we keep our cells living long and healthy? Because if you have healthy cells, you have healthy tissues. Healthy tissues equal a healthy organ. Healthy organs equal a healthy organism. That's you and me. And peptides are a key component. They're one of many types of chemicals that are cell signaling in nature. So today I want to talk a little bit about the peptide SLU. We refer to it as the SLU peptide in our clinical practice. I've been working with this peptide now for well over a decade. We've seen phenomenal results with it, my own personal results, but the results that we get with our patients are astronomical because it really helps signal the cells of musculoskeletal growth. And if you know anything about the longevity studies that are out there, the longevity studies have clearly demonstrated that the more muscle mass we have going into our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and so on and so forth, the longer we live, the more productive we are, and the less chances we have of developing chronic degenerative diseases. Well, we live in a world right now where 60% of the population has at least one chronic illness. 40% of the population has at least two. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that our cells are not being signaled from a muscle standpoint. So I wrote some notes this morning. I'm going to share some of those with you about this. I want to talk about the benefits of body mass, muscle body mass, and exercise and strength. A couple things. Number one, the preservation of muscle mass and muscle strength is, if not the most important, it's in the conversation of the top 2 or 3 most important aspects that you can measure to determine your overall health and well-being now and in the future. You see, most people don't realize that one of the most impactful tests that you can do is literally a grip strength test. We now have not just correlated, but causative data that shows if we have grip strength weakness, which then tells us that we have systemic muscle weakness in the body, which then determines how healthy our body really is. The maintenance of your muscle mass is critical when it comes to really preventing neuromusculoskeletal problems, as well as preventing metabolic issues. You see, the more muscle mass you have, the better your body can deal with chronic inflammation and other issues like insulin resistance, which is truly a pandemic, epidemic proportions, and as well as any type of, blood sugar related illness, which, is the tip of the spear with most chronic problems. So it enhances metabolism when you have good, strong muscle mass. It prolongs neuromusculoskeletal abilities. It reduces the risk of spinal injuries and joint injuries. And people, as we age, we worry about, slips and falls and breaking hips and having degenerative knees and all these things. Well, we know that the more muscle mass you have, the less chances of having those problems are. We also know there's cardiovascular benefits to having prolonged muscle mass. We want to make sure improved muscle mass. It can help with engaging aerobic activities and help reduce the risk of cardiovascular illnesses, which can lead to heart attacks and unfortunately death. It improves bone density. I will tell you, in my own clinical practice, we do a lot of physical medicine in our practices, and people who have a lot of joint pain or fibromyalgia pain or whatever, once we get the muscles to improve, that joint pain goes down. And we find a lot of folks that have misdiagnosis of arthritis and even rheumatism still to this day. And these are individuals that truly just have low muscle mass. And there's also a big cognitive functional improvement as well. We know that the more muscle mass an individual has going into the second or third half of your life, if you will, your 40s, 50s, 60s, and into your hundreds, the better your cognitive function is. So it's really important. And there are major issues associated with age-related muscle loss. I'm going to give you some of those. Decreased mobility and loss of independence. Look, I'm sure you're just like me. You want to be able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want to do that. Well, muscle mass is that key. And there's more to it than just going to the gym. There's more to it than just eating right. Those are key components, but you've got to have your cells properly signaled so that they actually will reap the benefits of the exercises and the foods that you're eating. There's an increased risk in fractures and falls with low muscle mass. There's an increase in metabolic disorders such as metabolic syndrome, syndrome X, type 2 diabetes, and ultimately type 3, which leads to early onset Alzheimer's with low muscle mass. Also, again, a massive increased risk for cardiovascular death and disease if you have low muscle mass, and then an increase in cognitive impairments. We're talking about things like neurocognitive decline, right? People that have these senior moments that unfortunately can lead to, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, and other issues. So let's talk a little bit about one of my favorite peptides that, like I said, we've been using this for well over a decade. I'm really excited to announce that we've got a really strong oral delivery pathway for this peptide now, making it more accessible to everyone. And the peptide is known as SLU-PP. It's SLU-PP-332 if you want the full term for it. But let me tell you what it stands for. Systemic longevity and upregulation peptide is what it's known as. So let me just read this. This is a peptide that is an innovative bioactive compound designed to support overall physiological optimization. This peptide has gained massive attention as its potential to enhance cellular repair of tissues in the body. It promotes gut health, improves genetic expression of your genes, and optimizes your microbiome balance. Okay, well, sign me up for that, because that's a bit of everything that I want to do to improve my health and the health of my patients in my community that I serve. The SLU-PP peptide operates between genetic and cellular function and the microbiome by stimulating adenosine triphosphate in the body, and it's most commonly referred to as exercise in a bottle. because the studies have proven that this peptide can cause an increase in skeletal muscle mass improvement, which many people have difficulties improving their muscle mass as they get older. It's easier to have muscle mass put on when you're younger and maintain that through the rest of your life, as opposed to putting 10 to 15 pounds of muscle on when you're over the age of, 40 years old. This peptide, plus a good lifestyle, living your genetic lifestyle, exercising appropriately, and giving your body the right amount of recovery time between your activities, has proven to help with this. So check this out. This is really cool. Let's talk about the cellular repair and regeneration aspect of this. So the SLU peptide, SLU-PP peptide, the exercise in a bottle peptide, stimulates the production of fibroblast and growth factor. This is a big one because this enhances the repair of wounds in the body, tissues, and every time you exercise and work out, you're causing micro tears and micro damage to your muscles. That's how muscles are grown. You have to stress them, then feed them, then rest them so they can grow. But what else is really cool with this, it helps a lot with wound repair. So I have a lot of my patients that are dealing with wounds, diabetic neuropathies, chronic musculoskeletal, shoulder, back, knee, hip injuries, that this peptide has helped them regain the ability to repair their damage. It also helps on the collagen production pathway. So many people are taking collagen by itself, and I've said this before, that collagen alone is good, but if you don't have collagen stimulating peptides, and this is one of them, the SLU peptide is one of them, the collagen's not going to do what it's best designed to do. It's going to be a great source of protein, but it's not going to tighten up your skin. It's not going to get rid of your wrinkles. It won't do those things as well as if you use these types of peptides. This also activates a peptide called NRF2 pathway. And listen to this. This increases the antioxidant response, reducing what's called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is how our cells age and how our cells damage. If our cells age and damage, they don't heal. And if they do, instead of taking days, it takes months to years to heal, if they ever heal completely at all. So this upregulates the body's ability to do something called autophagy. Autophagy is something that we talk about a lot with fasting, and that's cellular turnover. So when cells spin, they oscillate. When they vibrate, they turn over. We want them turning over quickly. We want old cells to go away and new cells to form. This peptide has been shown to be able to facilitate with that process. Now, let's talk a little bit about how this peptide also helps with gut health. Because look, even Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said, first heal the gut and all things fall into place. And he's right about that. If you don't have good gut health, you're not going to have good health of anything. It's just that simple. I mean, I was just with a group of people at a factory that produces high-end probiotics. And the conversations that we were having was pretty amazing, because these folks did not know that if your bacteria is off in your body, your muscles can't grow. If your bacteria is off in your body, your peak performance goes down, even athletically. When your bacteria is off in your body and your gut is injured and has permeability to it, aka leaky gut, you have an increased risk of autoimmune issues, chronic inflammation, vaginosis, sinus infections, weight gain issues. I mean, it really truly is one of the cornerstone key components to overall health of the body. It's a good, healthy microbiome. Well, the tissue inside the intestinal tract is also a tissue that's stimulated by the SLU peptide. So this helps improve tight junctions inside the cell membrane of the intestinal tract, reducing the risk of toxic waste from getting out of the intestine into the bloodstream. It also modulates the microbiome. It actually helps with beneficial bacteria like bifidobacterium and lactobacillus, and thwards off harmful pathogens that can cause increase in bad bacterial overgrowth, which can lead to things like SIBO and other conditions. This peptide also has a very strong anti-inflammatory component, not only in the muscle tissues, but systemically through the gut. It helps reduce what's called cytokine, certain cytokines in the body like interleukin-6 and TNF alpha can actually be balanced, which brings what's called homeostasis back to the gut. This is a powerful deal. And then you guys know that I'm a big fan of living your life based off of your genetic profile. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that every man, woman, and child should have a genetic profile to know how they should sleep, how they should eat, what they should supplement, when they should supplement, what medications are good or bad for them, how do they metabolize, just all these things, right? You can get a good roadmap of how to live your life based off of a genetic profile. Well, this peptide actually helps improve the epigenetic modulation, or the expression of genes that turn on and turn off based off of stress. It has an impact on dozens of genes that, if they're not working proper, especially through the methylation process, this is a big issue. So if you run, and I use the BioLimitless Discovering DNA Wellness kit, and that kit measures over 800,000 different SNPs. Well, here are some of the DNA SNPs that, if you have issues with, this peptide would benefit you greatly. Number one is any type of methylation issue. So MTHFR, MTRR, VDR, COMT, anything in the methylation pathway, is this peptide is going to benefit massively with. Any type of what's called a DAO peptide, or sorry, DAO genetic imbalance, that's going to cause histamine responses. And I have a lot of patients who, when they eat certain foods, their skin breaks out, they get chronic runny noses, or when they exercise, they get rashes, eczemas, or they get an exercise-induced flush. This peptide has been shown to help with that. So it's important to know your genetics, but bottom line is this peptide truly could be beneficial for really anyone over the age of 35 years old. So it improves gut health. It helps with detoxification as well in the body by lowering the systemic toxicity load through the liver and the kidneys. I've seen a lot of liver enzyme function reduce and kidney function improve by using this particular peptide. I'll also tell you that I've seen anecdotally in my practices with patients who use this peptide, their C-reactive protein levels drop down as well. And not only that, but their muscle mass improves and grip strength, amongst other types of measurable muscle output tests improve, including balance. We see a lot of balance improve, and balance has a lot to do with strength and stability of the muscles in the calves, the feet, the glutes, and in the legs. Massive improvement of cognitive function, because this peptide can reduce neuroinflammation. We also see this also improve what we would consider longevity, because it does have a positive effect on what are called sentient cells, which are commonly referred to as zombie cells in the body. The individuals who are going to benefit from these, like I said, anyone who has any type of methylation dysfunction, MTHFR genes, COMT genes, DAO gene issues, anyone who has issues with absorbing proteins, this is going to help immensely with. Folks that have collagen problems. And if you're trying to put on a little muscle mass, improve metabolism, and improve cognitive function, the SLU-PP-332 peptide is really phenomenal for you. I have a lot of my patients that I put on that have leaky gut syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome, chronic fatigue syndrome. Their get up and go just got up and went. And we do this a lot of times in conjunction with HRT and TRT hormone replacement therapies. It's a really nice booster for those individuals. But I see a lot of chronic problems in my practices, especially a lot of chronic neuromusculoskeletal issues, and the SLU peptide really, really helps with that. So if you're looking for a peptide that really kind of is an all-in-one, I'm a big fan of the SLU-PP-332 peptide, which is commonly referred to as exercise in a bottle. It does improve skeletal muscle function. It helps repair the body quicker after exercises. And folks, I know you're probably like me, I'm in my 40s now and I'm still working out, and I'd like to be able to work out hard, but I've got to give my body 2 or 3 days between my workouts for proper recovery. And if you use peptides like this, a balanced diet, based off of your genetic profile, using good microbiome bacteria to balance the gut, and exercising based off of your genetic profile needs, you're going to be putting yourself in the right position to do a lot of great things. So folks, I know this is a lot of information, but I really wanted to share this with you. I'm going to do a big series. You're going to see a lot of information about individual peptides that I'm going to be speaking about. I want you to check these peptides out. They're powerful. They're safe. They're effective. They're now over-the-counter, simple delivery systems that you can use right now from the convenience of your home all over the globe to utilize these peptides. So folks, remember, knowledge is power, but wisdom is taking that knowledge and applying it to your life. So I want you to go to our website, go to peptalk.world. That's peptalk.world. Share this information with your friends, family members, and loved ones. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share on all of our social media platforms what you're doing with your health. And remember, knowledge is power, but wisdom is taking that knowledge and applying it to your life. So folks, until we meet again, I'm Dr. Eric Naputi. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world. Stay smart out there, and I'll see you next time. Be well.